lot of people aren't gonna like this, but here's how I would rank every single Pixar movie from worst to best. That's right, I'm talking about all 27 of them. So I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. And I'm not gonna lie, picking your favorite Pixar movie is like trying to pick your favorite kid. But we gotta get to the bottom of which one is on top. And don't ever forget, it's my list. I can't miss. Cars fans are gonna hate me because easily in last place, I think the worst Pixar movie is Cars 2. And here's a short story on how I feel about Cars 2. And next up, I got Cars 3. I can hear the Cars fans going crazy in the comments, but I don't care. I'm not gonna hold you. If this was a best poster ranking, this might come in first. From there, I got The Good Dinosaur. How you make a dinosaur movie I don't like? I mean, this one had a lot going against it. There was a lot of issues behind the scenes, so I'm not surprised it ended up the way it did. Next up, I got Turning Red, which I enjoyed. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but I do like the thematic elements of this movie. I think what it's trying to say is important. From there, I got Brave, which has some elements that I really like, but overall, this doesn't really even feel like a Pixar movie. It feels like a pretty good DreamWorks movie. From there, I gotta go with Lightyear, which I gotta be honest, was one of my biggest disappointments. But I still really enjoyed it for its sci-fi elements. And the fact that this is a movie about one of Andy's toys in universe is pretty dope. They might have gotten a sniffle out of me, but overall, kind of a letdown. Next up, I got Elemental. And this is just a good original Pixar movie. I love the animation style, but I love that it's a rom-com. Next up, I got Onward, which is definitely one of the more underrated Pixar movies. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It unfortunately got dumped on streaming, and it tells a really heartwarming story about two brothers reeling from the loss of their father. So if you got daddy issues, you're gonna need to bring some tissues. From there, I got Finding Dory. I loved getting to dive back into this universe and the multiple meanings of the title Finding Dory. But like you'll see with the rest of this list, I'm not a big fan of the sequels that came out years later than the original, but I still like them. And in the same vein, I got Toy Story 4, which everyone likes to say they did not need to make. And while I agree, it's still a damn good movie. I love Woody's story in this, and it gave us Forky. Keanu is Duke Kaboom. Come on, man. From there, I got The Incredibles 2, which is the sequel 14 years in the making, even though it picks up right after the events of the first one. I think the fact that this movie took 14 years to come out in a new landscape where we get superhero movies like 8 of them every year kind of hindered that experience for me, but it still kept all those emotional core elements of the first movie, and I still really liked it. Next up, I got the original Cars. And like I said, I'm just not personally a big Cars fan, but I do like the first one. It did give us Rascal Flatts' Life is a Highway, so for that, give me a goddamn salute. But if you think Cars is the best franchise in Pixar, you need to wake up. Look, man, I don't care if you call me an unk. I love A Bug's Life. I grew up in the early 2000s. This was a staple. Who ordered the poo-poo platter? But it's a beautiful movie that shows us how to put our foot down and stand up against our oppressors. Next up, I got one of the most underrated Pixar movies in Monsters University, Pixar's first ever prequel. And I know it technically breaks canon, but people let that cloud their judgment on this movie. You need to rewatch this if you didn't like it the first time. I just love Mike and Sully, and seeing how they became best friends is beautiful. From there, I gotta go with Luca, which is easily one of the most slept on Pixar movies. I know I've said that like 3 times already, but I don't care. It's the truth. I love the animation, the setting, and the overt theme of having to hide who you really are. Will never be afraid to be yourself. Silencio, Bruno! Next up, I got Up, and I know a lot of y'all are probably pissed. Outside of the first 15 minutes where they emotionally scar us for life, I just don't think it competes with the movies I have ahead of it. But it is still a really emotional, beautiful movie. From there, I got Inside Out, and I know this is the rocky jump where a lot of these movies people are gonna have a lot higher than I do. But let me remind you, I still love these movies. This is one of the more clever and emotional movies that actually tells a lesson for both kids and adults. Fucking Bing Bong! I feel like I'm there now. You got me. Because next up, I got Wall-E, and I know everyone's probably going, we need to kill him. Calm down. I love Wall-E, just not as much as you do. It's very 2001: A Space Odyssey coded and pretty adorable and cute. From there, I got Soul, which I know for a lot of people is number 1. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me question everything about my existence. It's a film that beautifully dissects purpose in life, makes you look inward to yourself, and man, it just fucked me up. But next up, I've got Ratatouille, which you know a lot of my UK friends and followers hold in high regard. Hi, Seth. And that's because it's a fucking banger. This is art. It's literally a movie where we look at a rat and say, let him cook. From there, I gotta go with Monsters, Inc. I'm an unk. I grew up in the early 2000s. This was a staple. 2319. We have a 2319. Scary feet, scary feet, scary feet, scary feet. Banger, don't care what you say. And again, in the same vein, Finding Nemo. You touch the butt, which is literally taken for kids. I will find you, and I will kill you. Fish are friends, not birds. There's so many damn quotables in this movie. Next up, I got Toy Story 2, and on a good day, this could be number 1. I love how they expanded upon everything that made the first movie good, exploring Buzz and Woody's relationship, where Woody really comes from, getting Jessie and Bullseye, Prospector's bitch ass. That scene where they repair Woody was the original ASMR in its peak. Plus the Star Wars references with Zurg, us getting 2 buzzes, that shit top tier. Next up, I got The Incredibles, which is easily the best Fantastic Four movie we're ever gonna get. But nah, man, this was a staple in my childhood. I used to play the game, and this just has so much good going for it. Syndrome, top tier villain. Honey, where is my super suit? From there, I gotta go with Toy Story 3. You could call this Pixar's best movie and I would not be mad at you. I think Lotso is easily the best animated villain of all time, or at least one of them. But my brother in Christ, the incinerator scene, tears, literal tears. I'm a grown-ass man, tears. Learning to live and let go of your toys. Andy's literally me. But in second place, I got Coco, and this one just holds a special damn place in my heart because this is my heritage. This is beautiful lore expansion of Dia de los Muertos, Ofrendas. Obviously a great coming-of-age movie with some of the best songs ever. A fucked up villain. Emotional damage. Remember me. Fuck. But in first place, you gotta go with Toy Story. This was the milestone for Pixar. It is top tier. I remember being a kid flabbergasted at the animation. I thought it was the dopest thing I've ever seen. I mean, Buzz and Woody's dynamic of Buzz thinking he's a real person, not a toy, was so funny. Pizza Planet. You saved our lives. We are eternally great. This is the patriarch of Pixar, and that's why it's number 1. Acknowledge it. But that is just how I would rank them. Let me know how you'd rank them down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.